I've got 2 of these wall shelves from Dollar Tree. You get 2 in each pack. I don't need the rope and I don't need 2 of these rings, but I am going to be using 2 of the rings. I'm using some of this wire from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to sandwich the wire. I'm going to attach the wire to each ring and sandwich that wire in between these 2 shelves. I want each of these pieces to be 2 of these shelves put together, and I want this ring to be permanently attached to the top. I use E6000 and I tried to pull that wire as taut as I can, but it's not enough to make that ring stand up, so I'm going to have to do something else to make the ring stand up. I'm going for a certain look here, and I'm going to use some E6000 and smush that glue around that ring using some masking tape. I fill the holes in these shelves with lightweight spackling from Dollar Tree, and then I sand that smooth. I'm not going to paint this entire thing with the truffle chalk paint, but I am going to paint the edges and the ring. And what I do to one, I do to the other. These images will be free in the description box if you're interested in them. I didn't put them on a printable per se, but the images will be there and you can size them up or down to fit whatever base you're using. I thought the odds of y'all using these little shelves, might not be so good. You might use a different piece of wood. I printed mine on printable rice paper. You can find that in my Amazon shop. And I'm just going to Mod Podge these to the sign here. I have these 2 square dowels, and I'm going to be using 2 12-inch dowels. I'm going to cut it down to fit on the front perfectly, and then the shorter piece I'll use on the back, and that will make this little sign stand up. I do sand off the excess of that rice paper, and I've painted the dowels on 3 sides each with that truffle chalk paint as well. I have some of this plastic trim here from the Dollar Tree. I like to use it, cut it up, and paint it, just to add something to my projects. Even though it's plastic, once you paint it up, it gives the effect of a sort of metal trim. I painted that trim with truffle chalk paint. Some I already had painted that I used on a previous project, but I'm going to go over everything that I've painted with that truffle in this European gold. That truffle was just a base coat. Now I thought that I was okay with that masking tape. I thought I'll just paint over it and use that European gold, and maybe it'll look like a little piece of metal going over that ring, but I ended up not liking that, so I picked that off, and then I did add a little more glue underneath that ring, just using a toothpick, and got some more up underneath there just for extra hold, but it's holding very well. That E6000 is pretty tough. This is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you don't miss any of my future videos. And give it a hype. Hit that hype button if you really like this video, if you're watching it within the first 7 days of it coming out. I have some of this old painting drop cloth that I bought ages ago at Home Depot, and I use it for crafting. It's been used and washed several times. And this is just further proof that I'll do anything to not have to measure something. So I'm just going to go around with a marker around these two Dollar Tree signs. I'm not using the signs, I'm just using them to make my rectangle here. I cut out 2 pieces of fabric the same size, and I'm going to be gluing 3 sides closed to make a little sack. Once that hot glue is set up, I turn that inside out, and this will be a free printable in the description box. It is printed backwards on purpose. I'm going to get rid of some of this paper, and I'm just going to tear that to get rid of it. And then on the corners, I use a little bit of water to sort of guide my tears. I'm going to round the corners here. This ends up not really being necessary, but I didn't know how much of that paper residue was going to be left over on this canvas material here, so I wanted it to be fairly even, just in case you could see, you know, the ghost of that paper still on here. Now this isn't, I don't think, really the proper way of doing this, and I didn't even watch a tutorial of anyone doing this. I think I've done this on, I think there's a bag in my laundry room that I did this on, but I couldn't find the footage of it. I couldn't find the video where I did it. I looked through all my videos, but I have an inkjet printer, and so really you're supposed to use a laser printer to do this sort of photo transferring, but I'm just Mod Podging this face down onto this fabric. Then once it has dried, once it's set up, it's good to just leave it overnight. I didn't. It probably would have been better if I would have. But then the next day, just take some water and wet that down, and then rub away the paper off of your image there. And then you should be left with, it will be imperfect if you do it the way I'm doing it. I think, you know, there are official, much better ways of doing this, but I had what I had, and I just wanted to make sort of a rustic sort of transfer here. Once that dried, I could see that there was a little bit of paper residue left. I didn't get it all off. I was too scared to scratch off and to make my text too faded. I wanted it to still be crisp and be able to see it. But I like the end result. I think it looks cute. For this one, I have 18 tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue together sets of 3. Once that glue sets up, I stain these with my Varathane gel stain that is in my Amazon shop. And I have some of these little plastic rabbits. I got them a while back at the Dollar Tree. And I have these 3 wooden letters that I got, I'm pretty sure, from Walmart. And I'm going to be painting the rabbits and the letters in cashew. And I almost forgot these 2 little beads here, wooden beads. I'm going to paint them in cashew as well. I'm gluing the letters on with Beacon 3-in-1. If you're going to recreate this, you want your twine to be fairly thin. It's still going to make a slight gap in between these blocks, but it's not, it's not bad at all. It doesn't look bad or anything, but if you used a really big rope, it would leave a very big gap, and the pieces, it would be difficult to glue the pieces together with a large gap between them. And so I'm going to be very generous with my hot glue here because there is a slight gap because of that twine. But I just alternate between a letter block and a bead and a letter block. And I want there to be a little bit, these to be able to bend just a little bit. So I don't do this very tightly because I want to be able to sit it on a shelf curved or straight, if that makes sense. You could do these in different color variations, different types of letters, and you could also use different sized blocks. You could use the full size Jenga blocks and make a larger set, especially if your rabbits that you happen to have are larger than these. This one's so easy and quick. I have this garland here from the Dollar Tree, and it's pretty cute, but y'all know me, I like really neutral colors. And so I'm going to be covering these rabbits in this paper out of an old book. I'm going to take all the rabbits off the garland, remove their tails, and I found that doing a twisting motion to remove those tails worked out better than just pulling them off. I gave them all a coat of cashew chalk paint so that those bright colors don't show through my book pages. And I just Mod Podge these on here. If you get any wrinkles, you could iron the paper once it dries to smooth those wrinkles out, but I didn't get any wrinkles. If you don't have a finger sander and you need to sand in these little grooves, I like to take a sanding block from the Dollar Tree and then just cut a strip of it off, and it makes a smaller sort of finger sander that you can use in small spaces. I did take my lighter because this twine that came with this garland was pretty fuzzy. I went ahead and burned that off with my lighter. And to string them back on the twine, I did make a little bit of a needle with some masking tape on the end of that twine and just thread them through there, and I reattached the tails with some hot glue. And that's it for this one. This one went by really quick. These are really easy and fast crafts. So sometimes my crafts are a little bit, detailed and involved and take a good while to make, but these are definitely some easy, quick crafts that y'all could make for Easter time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.